Hey, what's up, peeps? You're listening to the Let Loose with Lou podcast. I'm a full time working woman, mother of three, and a wifey to one lucky man. My passion is getting to know people, listening to their stories, and learning from their points of view on life. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy it. Hello, everyone, and this is Lou with Let Loose with Lou. Today's subject is in regards to community. And today I have Coach Costa. Hey, Coach Costa, how are you?
Blessed to be here. Thank you so much.
I have John Bagakis
Thank you
with
for
Big
having me.
Mix. Yes.
Yes.
And I have Melanie. Melanie,
Hi.
would you mind pronouncing
Labrecque.
Labrecque, yes, which is our neighborhood watch. And of course, my co-host, Ryan.
Stuffed in the corner over there. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, everybody.
So, okay, we're going to start off. First of all, I want to say thank you to Solomon because he coordinated. It was a last minute emergency and he was able to fit us and help us out here and give us a little space so we could record our
We will be
podcast.
back to our regular set next episode.
There we go. Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Monday.
All
We'll
right.
be back to our
I'll be
regular
looking.
episode.
I'll be looking and I'll be ready to like nuzzle into that little couch.
There you go. Yeah, see, you're getting used to that couch.
Yes. Okay. So I would like to express my thanks for you guys for showing up because this is very important to me because this is in regards to San Pedro, of course, the community. Not that we don't like other cities, but this is the city that we live in right now, and we do a lot for our community, right? We take care of our community. I personally feel that we're losing that. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Do you? Why do you feel that?
I community. I think in traveling and seeing different places, what community is to them. Usually, community to me and what I've seen in other cultures and places that I've traveled is someone gets sick, they look out for that person. Someone needs help, they look out for that person. Each person looks out for each other and making sure they're okay. And not one person suffers because each person is picking up the weight for the other person when they fail.
Mhm.
And that's where I see community. And we don't have that. People are just invested in themselves and that's it. And they forget about others around them.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you feel that it's like that because it's becoming very corporate? What do you
I think
John?
maybe corporate and also COVID did a lot of that. The last 3 years of, COVID have just kind of isolated everybody. And I think it really has sucked that in where everybody was looking out for themselves and everybody else like isolate away from everybody
Fend
and
from
stay
themselves.
away.
I don't think we've lost the sense of community, but I was gonna say I think it's a sign of the times a little bit.
Mm.
And it's not just local; it's on a more nationwide level. We're a little bit of a divided country right now. But I think the uniqueness of a place like San Pedro is we still do our community gatherings and we still do locally kind of look out for each other. But since the COVID outbreak, it hasn't come all the way back yet. And I compare it a little bit to my restaurant. Before COVID, I did a lot of dine-in service. People came out, went out to eat. Since COVID, even today, I haven't got that full dine-in service back. We're doing okay. A lot of people have transitioned to takeout and delivery, and they just got comfortable with it. And I think that's the thing. Everyone got comfortable with this new reality, and they haven't gone back totally into their old ways.
I think people need community. I think it might be in our genetics too. And I've witnessed the same thing you just said. I blessed to coach a football team, the San Pedro High Pirates. And a lot of these guys may not even get to play a lot, but they like that sense of community about being in a group of large males with a common cause. But that COVID thing did change things. And other teachers I've mentioned were slowly, the kids are coming around to coming to things and being parts of things. So I definitely have seen the same thing.
Mhm. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I think there's so many things that have happened since COVID. I think you what you brought up as a divided nation, I think is very key to a lot of things. And I think that fractures communities instead of bringing them together. And I think that, not to get political, but to say that I think our politicians and I think our state legislature, I think that our federal system is failing Americans. I think it's failing these small communities. I think it's failing, and I think the only places that you really see it still really strong is in small towns. I think there's just so many people, and everybody's so separated from the effects of COVID and the lot the lies. Nobody knew what to believe. People still are just going back and forth. And you watch one news channel, it's one thing. You watch another news channel, it's the other. It divides neighbors, it divides families, it divides things. And when you say you can't go see your grandmother or grandfather, or you sit and watch your father die in a hospital bed, and they won't even let you see him when they're terminal. I mean, that is just it rips a part of you out, and it's something that's out of your control.
I like politics, but I hate politics.
Yes. Yes.
And I mean, to me, the bigger the politics gets, the worse it gets.
Mhm.
We do this a lot, Melanie and San Pedro. We look at what we do at the local level, and that's where things to me get done.
They get done.
And you can actually care and give
Mhm.
and be a part of the conversation
But
and get things done at your
even
local
at a
level.
local level, we tend to be divided on issues.
Definitely.
So
You know,
you could agree to disagree, right?
Definitely.
But
And I think more locally, we agree to disagree and don't walk away from the conversation hating each other.
Exactly.
Where we
yes.
do at the
Yes.
bigger level
Yes,
these days,
yes,
it seems.
yes, exactly. And you guys do a lot. You three do a lot for the community. I mean, I see you guys always do. John, how do you keep up?
It's very hard. I do a lot. I sometimes do more nonprofit work than actual restaurant work.
Yeah.
But, it's that kind of a town, and you grew up with businesses and nonprofits supporting you
Mhm.
as a youth in
Yes.
programs, and you
That's
kind of want to give
beautiful.
back and do the
Thank
same
you
thing.
for that.
So
That's
And I got to
beautiful.
give John some flowers because my wife and I, we started one, just Coach Costa's kids, and he's kind enough to be on our board. And we raise money to give fresh cleats or tennis shoes
And I
away.
love
That's
that.
awesome.
That's
I would,
awesome.
and I would love you to speak in behalf of that, because I think that's personally with children. Because at one point I was a single mom with a teenager.
I
who
didn't
wanted
even
to
know that
play.
existed, Dom, until you said something.
Yeah,
So-
we're growing it. We had my mother-in-law recently passed, so we were dealing with a lot of
Sorry for your loss.
yeah, and she's a big part of our
Oh,
team
wow,
and
I'm
group.
sorry.
Mhm.
So things got slowed down, and I imagine things will speed back up again. But I got to give a shout out to Teresa Sardisco,
Oh,
San
we
Pedro
love
Pet
her.
Pals,
We love
because she gifted
Teresa.
us with a bunch of shoes to give away that we could use as
Oh, that's
people would
awesome.
give us donations of cash, and it helped us give out some cleats already for football, and we're looking to do that and increasing it bit by bit. And it all started with the story of a gentleman in his late 40s, early 50s. I coached his kids. He says, "Hey, I'm a child of a single mom. We lived in the Rancho San Pedro housing projects, and I had the same pair of cleats to play football since the 8th grade."
Wow.
And then I talked to his contemporaries, and they go, "Yeah, that dude, the 11th grade, he had them all taped up. 12th, I don't even know how he got his feet into the cleats."
Aw.
And it just meant so much. It's a small token of helping somebody, give them an opportunity to perform better.
Right.
And I got this watching my wife's other charity, Maria's Closet, which gives a free prom
Mhm.
dress.
Right.
Oh,
gear
yes.
I
for
love
girls
that.
can't
Yes,
afford.
that's
And
beautiful.
they've really gone. And so there's a lot of good nonprofits around San
Yeah.
Pedro
Mhm.
and the Hill community of people giving back. And it's a pleasure to be a part of it. And I think people want to be a part of these things too, once they know about it.
And that's the real sense of community in San Pedro.
Yeah.
I mean, we have so many nonprofits, and they all do something very unique and very special. And like you said, I'm on his board. 24 years ago, I was in his classroom.
Oh my God.
And
isn't that
now
the
I'm on
best?
his board of
Isn't that
directors.
something?
That's a total
That
Pedro
is
thing
awesome.
right there.
Yeah.
It's
So,
a privilege.
Pedro's a small
That's a
town.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's beautiful. There's just something golden about it that you can't remove, but I feel like they want to remove it. There's unionism, you know? It's
Well, I think people talk about and they see the changes happening in San Pedro,
Mhm.
and that's why I think the conversation starts of, are we losing some of our soul and some
Right.
of our,
Yes.
past?
like
And I've heard that from people, especially with the building of green space. They keep building more and more and more and more high-rise apartments and stuff. And part of the thing that I've dealt with doing public safety is for the neighborhood council is the big questions I've gotten asked. So what happens if there's a big disaster? They're building so much and we're getting so crowded here. How do we get out of here? And the quick answer is to that, we don't. So that's why it's important for people to learn how to um, shelter in place,
well,
how to be prepared for that.
and just like in our neighborhood, now we could build an ADU, add on more into the neighborhood. Our neighborhood is already pretty compact as
Yeah.
it is. And then to build more, I think that's just
Yeah, they
too
just
much.
approved that like a week or two ago.
Yeah, they
didn't
did. You can take a granny flat or even a shed type thing, and I could put that in my backyard and rent it out.
Yep. Isn't that crazy?
It's different. I mean,
Yes.
we live in a unique piece of Los Angeles where we're a small town, but we have the busiest port on the West Coast in
Yep.
our backyard. So it's
Yes.
like we want to maintain that small town feel, but we kind of deserve to have the big city perks in the small town because of the money that comes through our waters and the cruise lines that go out. And it's like, how do you find the balance?
But see, we don't get that full money. You know who gets it?
Oh, I know we don't get it.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't get it.
We don't get it.
We
they
have
get it up
6
there.
patrol cars that are shared through the whole harbor
That's just
area.
So
That means Wilmington, Harbor Gateway South, Harbor City, and San Pedro, to go the full stretch of San Pedro from northern Gaffey all the way down to coastal. There are 6 patrol cars, and that is it.
It's not enough.
Unbelievable.
We are under for patrol 45 officers.
Mm.
But
Unbelievable.
and that's a city problem. A big, I mean, it's not just Harbor.
no, it's not.
Harbor's
Yes.
struggling with it, but and Harbor, we seem to know, always gets the brunt of
Yeah.
understaffing and underfunding from the
Everything.
city.
We're the
We're
red
the-
step.
we're the- yeah, I was
child,
gonna say we're
red-haired
the chip-
stepchild.
yeah.
I used to
Stepchildren.
joke with our council member McCosker, we're council district 15
Mhm.
out of 15. I go, we think it's like our ranking
Yeah.
in the city of Los
No.
Angeles. That's how they treat us.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he rebranded us the 1-5.
1-5.
It's a little bit more creative.
Yes.
It makes us feel like we're more of a destination than a ranking.
Right.
And we should be a destination. Like, honestly, we have the cruise ships, right? It should be. I know they're renovating Portugal. Do you
Right.
guys have any info on Portugal?
I'm excited, and some people get fired up how they go. They're building an amphitheater.
Oh.
That I could go see Sebastian Maniscalco. I could leave my house on a
Right.
bike, and I go down there. And like, since people are like, "Hey, it's gonna be loud," I go, "Dude, you live by a harbor. We hear things go slam bang, crash all
yes.
night long."
Look at the
Mhm.
Greek. They're right in the middle of a neighborhood.
Exactly,
And,
and
they are fine. You can't hear it because they have acoustics around that
absolutely.
with the speakers
And
and,
they're
everything.
done 10:30, 10:45 every night. The only
Exactly.
people there are 2 a.m.
And the same
still
people that run
sleeping.
the Greek are the same people that are going
Yeah.
to be doing.
So I
Yes,
get
that are
I
put
get
in
to
the
see
bid.
some of those acts, and I don't have to go fight that. Man, let's bring
So
it.
my brother is an Uber driver,
Ooh.
and he
Mhm.
brings people to the Greek all the time.
Yep.
And I asked him, I said, if they build this 6,000 seat amphitheater in Portugal,
6,000?
yeah, 6,000
Oh
seats.
my
Oh yeah, facing
goodness.
out.
I said,
Yeah.
how people are worried
Unbelievable.
about traffic and
Yeah,
public
it'll be-
transportation and
That's-
ride sharing. And he goes, I think it will be easier in San Pedro. It's hard at the Greek theater
It is.
to get through those
To
streets.
maneuver
yeah.
through those
But in
streets.
San Pedro, he
Mhm.
goes, it's uniquely positioned where they can come down one way and swing around and go out the other way, to where traffic can actually flow a little bit better than it does at the Greek.
Hmm.
So now I've never been to the Greek, and I've lived in LA my whole life.
Oh, it's
Gotta
beautiful.
go.
I can't believe
Yeah,
I've never
it's
been
great.
there.
Yes.
We
Go.
go to the Greek.
I got to
all
go
the
just to
time.
experience the
Yes,
traffic
you
now.
have to.
Amazing concerts.
I've heard it's great.
So I'm excited, and then they go, well, what kind of jobs you're going to get there? It's got to be minimum wage. But I've been in this community for like 64 years, and I like the San Pedro Fish Company. That place, I'm impressed with those owners, and I got to meet them being the honorary mayor and their depth and breadth of knowing their customer base. And I saw that they gave a leg up to a lot of first time people getting a job, or people who had maybe been in the system, so to speak,
Mhm.
incarcerated. They got them a job. It's the first step out. And I think I'll go back to Father Boyle downtown LA with Homeboy Industries.
Oh,
You can save a
homeboys.
life by giving someone a job, even if it's a
Absolutely.
minimum wage job. It's a start. Where do they live? Hey, like so many of the kids I work with, I've had them. You got 12 people living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath with one. But it's a start. It's
Mhm.
someplace that's productive, and you never know where that'll lead to, who you meet, and go from there. But right now, I watched the place die for decades, and I'm excited. Hey, let's try something new. Let's get the bodies down here and let them eat.
And
See
for a
what-
lot-
A little
go ahead.
history here is when back in the 80s when I lived here in Pedro, because I lived here then and then moved away and then came back 25 years ago. And when I lived here, my wedding and my was down at Portugal, as well as Nezatich's that used to be down there, was where my engagement
Oh,
rehearsal
how
dinner
cute.
Great
party
place.
was.
Yes.
And it was great. And I used to work down there.
Oh, how cute. Oh.
And so it just, I miss it the way that it was, that Ports Call
Yes.
was back in that day and that time.
It was
It-
beautiful.
It was a unique place, but it
Nautical.
was past its prime a little bit. I
Right.
mean, its heyday
Yeah.
had come and gone. Besides the fish market and Ports Call restaurant, which I will miss forever.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was
Oh,
my
God,
favorite
I will
place.
too.
Cheers.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
like Cheers on the water.
Yes, yes. Acapulco too. Was
Acapulco
great.
was a fun
Margarita
spot.
Mondays.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
Spent a lot of Mondays
I
there,
know, me
definitely.
too.
And for years, people thought, yeah, they keep talking about it, but it's never happened. And I remember being in elementary school in the early 90s and hearing they're going to redo Ports of Call. And it's 2023, and finally there's shovels in the ground. It took 30 years.
30 years.
And the unique thing about our community is we got a lot of strong-minded people with opinions, and I'm for it. I'm totally for it. But it may slow the process down, but it's important to have the people's words come in, environmental impact reports. But having been here and watched it degrade, I'm excited. Build something. You don't like the name? Hey, we'll rename it in another year. I'll have a vote for it.
I'm excited just for
just build it.
something
See-
decent to go to restaurants at. We dine in Pedro at restaurants, but some of the bigger name restaurants that are actually coming
See,
to
and I
Westport,
disagree with
you know,
that.
to the
What's
new
your disagreement?
Ports
I
of
just-
Call, is that we can actually go out in Pedro instead of going to Torrance.
Right.
See, I disagree in a sense of way where I feel like our mom and pops, restaurants are dying out because these huge corporate chains are coming in. Like that hurts me.
Yeah, I think though with the new waterfront, there was talks early on about chains coming in. One of the chains that's in Long Beach was going to come over, but they backed out.
Mhm.
And I think more of the ones they're focusing on bringing in
Mhm.
are family owned.
Good.
They may
I
have
hope so.
multiple stores.
I feel they should have given the families, that have owned restaurants in San Pedro an opportunity first.
I wouldn't say that it wasn't there. It
Oh.
just wasn't as public.
Okay.
And maybe they should have made it more public
Mhm.
because I know several restaurants that were asked and were in the discussion, but opening restaurants
Mhm.
is such a big
Yes.
risk and it's such a
Totally.
big commitment.
It's a
It is.
dangerous business.
You're
A lot
basically,
of them
when you
fail.
start from scratch,
Yeah.
people always say to me, I want to buy a restaurant. I go, buy something already built and
Mhm.
established.
correct.
Because building it out from scratch, you're going to be broke
Oh.
before you even open the door.
Yeah.
It's just that much.
It's
You better have
bad.
3 years of money stacked away.
At
At
least.
least. I was
At
going to say
least.
at least.
It's a tough
Yes,
business.
Yeah.
exactly.
The biggest
Not
thing that
easy.
I've heard from people that we're losing are the family places to be able to go. There's a lot of places to go for dinner for couples, but there aren't a lot of places to go for families, like Coco's and the Caros and the one that was down at the harbor that
A grinder. Yeah.
Grinder.
Yeah.
That you
That's
can
What a
take-
name.
that you
I
can
had to
take
say
the
it.
kids and take. Now all we have is pretty much Denny's is it left in the whole community, while vacant buildings sit there and rot, like the old Marie calendars.
Right.
And
All
that
of that
sucks.
are just sitting and rotting.
I heard they're gonna put a Wendy's there. Like,
I heard that
Really?
too, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really believe it until I
I
see the
hope
Well,
real
they
not.
wouldn't let Raising Cane go there either. They
Ugh.
didn't want a drive-through there. The RPV residents protested it, and then that was like
Mhm.
shot. Also, I heard that there's going to be a drive-through Chick-fil-A where the old Caro's is.
I've
Interesting.
heard that for a
But
while.
but I've heard that for a while, and I asked the Starbucks people if they had heard it. I was talking to the manager there, and she said she thinks it might have died.
Mhm.
A lot of things in Pedro die. I mean, they were going to do the Disney cruise ships down off
the Outer Harbor,
down by
yeah.
Outer Harbor
Yeah.
55, and that would have brought so much traffic and business in, which would have made Port Sakal go way faster than it did. But that fell through. I mean, there's a lot of ideas and a lot of projects. The harbor came out nice when they, with all the new marina and everything.
The
Looks
promenade,
really good.
yeah.
Yeah, the promenade looks great. But there is so much opportunity, and it's great to see that they're actually pushing forward to do it, because I mean, it's been a long time since they closed down
It has.
Acapulco and a lot of those places. And I mean, even gosh, I can't think of the name of the burger place, Arturo's. Is that even still there? It's been a long time since I've been over there, but
Utros?
Utros.
Utros.
They got shut
Yeah.
down.
Oh,
They
he
closed
just
earlier this year, I believe.
this year,
Really?
correct.
Or
Yes.
late last year. Maybe it was
Yes.
earlier
Sad.
this year.
It was.
Yeah.
because we've eaten there for
During the
like
summer.
25
Yeah.
years, 30 years, just
The
being
best,
down here and
um,
stuff. And
Yeah, our last councilman used to say change is hard, but sometimes it's necessary. And I mean, you're going to lose great things that you love. And it's just a matter of life. It just happens. I'm excited with what's happening because it's our time. I feel like it's our time. We've, Long Beach kind of was the slum for a while down there,
Yes.
and they've done their waterfront and the Pike. And I used to tell people, we're Pedro people. We make money, but we have to go spend it in other cities to have, a good time. It's time for us to keep our money in town.
100%. Because I
That
have
I
out of state relatives. And we usually, over the years, if you live in the LA community, there's certain spots that you'll talk about. We got to go Griffith Observatory, Hollywood Boulevard. We got to see the Spider-Man who has bad BO. You got to do all these different places to hit. You got to go to Felipe's downtown, get
Right.
dip.
Yeah,
There's
French
all
dip.
different little restaurants
Yeah.
around to hit. And it's so nice. Everyone knows about Busy Bee.
yeah,
But like the other day, I was blessed to go to Crustacean in Beverly Hills because they got those garlic noodles.
Oh,
They
They got the
yes.
separate kitchen where the family
Yeah.
only makes it. And I'm going like, you know what? It's not that's not going to be everybody's price point. Not that I go there every day, but I go,
For a special treat.
it's a nice treat. LA's got a variety. I'm looking forward that we too can have a variety where we're a destination. I think we should be. They're building the sidewalk right now from I think it's Yangming, China shipping,
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
all the way under the bridge.
Under the
And
bridge.
there's a variety of humanity that congregates in those areas. But if you're moving your bike pretty fast, you could get over to the new amphitheater, no problem.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the other concern I have is as we grow, we're already experiencing a lot of public safety issues
Mhm.
100.
that are growing.
Because our streets are so
And
narrow.
Our street,
don't-
well, not just the streets, the individuals that are gravitating towards San Pedro.
getting a lot of homeless.
And a lot,
Oh.
well, there's
Lot of-
a lot of homeless, but embedded in that are some of the homeless that have rap sheets a mile long. There are a lot of really crazy
Yes.
felons that are embedded themselves in that, as well as there's a lot of people embedded in there that really have some mental challenges. That's a lot of mentally ill, and my heart goes out to them. And we need a better way
a better
a
system.
better system to get the help that they need, a better system to make sure that these people that need mental health services are getting
Right.
them, because they aren't. And right now we have a system that I call whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole.
And
Good way to put it.
Yeah.
and it's like we clean up here and they move here, and we
Yes.
same people clean up here and they move here, and then we clean up here, and we're shifting from neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood. The issue
Ping ponging.
and the issue's not directly getting addressed. And I've been told, well, it's because they have to be at least sometimes 30, 40 times we have to approach them before they'll accept help. But uh, it seems like there's got to be a better way.
Yeah, and I think that trickles down to the law enforcement part. They feel like they're fighting a losing game.
Totally.
they-
Their
well,
they
hands
are.
tied.
Their
There's
hands are
nothing
tied
they
behind
can
their
do
back.
on a lot of issues. Now, I was at Supervisor Han's State of the County
Mhm.
last week. With the chamber hosted it. I do work with the San Pedro Chamber for the last 8 to 10 years. And she said something that I found very interesting when it talks about mentally ill and what they're trying to do. And I was talking to Assembly Member Gibson the other day, and he kind of confirmed this program. So the state is starting this program. It's called CARES Court,
Mhm.
Okay.
where if someone on the street is found to be mentally ill
Mhm.
to the point where they can't even take care of themselves,
Mhm.
that a judge will actually sentence them to a care facility, and they will be 24/7 under care and under supervision until they're deemed safe enough to be able to go out and take care of themselves,
Oh,
which for
wow.
some of these people, maybe never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know how
Well,
that's
they're-
going to work,
and
but
that's-
it's interesting, and it kind of sounds harsh, and I know they're trying to find the right way to do it without
Right.
being harsh. It's basically, if you're not able to take care of yourself, you're a danger to yourself and potentially others, and we need to do something about
Definitely.
it.
To
Well, Lou and I
others.
talked about that
Mhm.
a little bit last night, and one of the things that was, a lot of the mental hospitals were shut down in the '80s, and
Regular.
it was Reagan, and again, not to get political on one side or the other, because I think they're all stealing from us. And I mean, the government used to take 15 cents on every dollar. Now they take 50.
Oh,
And then they tax that dollar every time you spend it, and then they charge someone else tax on them what they earned off that dollar. So it's really put us at a disadvantage. Now, granted, we a great community and a great area. We have great jobs, and it works, but we struggle so much more than 30 years ago and 40 years ago. It was a lot easier to afford a home. It was a lot easier to afford a new vehicle.
It was
Good Lord. A new truck's $120,000, $130,000.
unbelievable. And it's a Chevy.
Yeah, a
Or
Chevy or a
Ford.
GMC, and I'm like, oh my
Or
gosh!
Ford.
I mean, that was a home.
Right.
That was a
It's
home.
bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, when
It wasn't so long ago that was a home either.
Yeah.
No.
it really wasn't.
No.
25 years
taxes
ago, maybe.
Yes.
that we pay in California are huge.
They're
It's
insane.
ridiculous.
They're
And where's all that
insane.
money going? Like
and that's
the
why a
lotto?
lot of people are leaving. One of my other roles that I do besides on the neighborhood council and run the neighborhood watch
Which you do a great
is
job.
I
Thank you.
also I'm budget advocate for the city. So with the money,
Mhm.
and part of that is meeting with city departments and advocating for the budgets that each of the city departments get. And it's amazing what you see, how shortened some of the departments, like emergency preparedness, they were cut immensely, their fund. And that's like one of the big
Yes.
things we need, emergency
Absolutely.
responders.
Absolutely.
But San
And-
Francisco wants to put in a $6 million toilet. I mean, there's some crazy
Yeah.
stuff in our state,
There's
and it doesn't
crazy
get passed to the
things.
local levels where it should properly. And let's be honest, California is a very wealthy state, and we've seen
Fourth largest economy in
Total.
But
the
you
world.
know,
in the world.
Yeah.
Exactly.
a lot of our money are going to paying these lawsuits by Carol Sobel because of all the homeless issues that have arisen, and because they have basically tied the hands of our law enforcement for them to be able to do anything.
Well, the politicians made it a social issue. And this is what I've heard from the police themselves. It said it used to be a crime when you were in someone's backyard or you were camping in
Right.
someone's backyard. It was a crime. They took you to jail. Now they made it a social issue. They don't even give them a ticket. They just
Right.
shoo them on to the next city.
because
shoo
of
them
the
on
no
and it
bail
turns into-
also,
Yep.
because the minute
Whack-a-mole.
they take them to jail to book them, they're gone before the ink is dry.
And
They're released.
and the
Exactly.
fires, how about fires that are started? I mean,
Oh.
big
Yeah.
fire in Malibu from them cooking. How
Right.
about all the trash? Have you guys seen the amount of trash in the last 3 or 4 years?
So-
Is insane.
So our councilman just started this thing called Clean the 1-5.
Yep.
And at his speech about a month ago, he announced that just in his district, they've picked up like 1,500
Yep.
tons
Wow.
of trash
It's crazy.
in 90 days.
That's awesome.
in
Well,
90
See the
days?
trash
90
that they
days.
picked up on
Coach Costa
Capitol.
does clean up, right? Coach Costa.
Yeah, I was part of the San Pedro CPR group, and I'm glad I got to be a part of that. I pick up scrap metal just to get it off the street, and I'll give away any information I know, but like a lot of people aren't even aware, and I don't know if it's a conspiracy. 311 app
Yep.
on the phone.
Right.
Our city, unlike a lot of other places, every week they'll take a bulky item stuff, and
Right.
you could go report it anywhere, but people don't know
They don't know,
You
and they
know.
throw the stuff out and
Yep.
Anywhere.
on their
Yeah.
curb.
All right.
Anywhere.
So you heard that, guys. If you guys need anything picked up,
311.
311.
311.
It works. I've done it several times. It's a great app.
And it
And
doesn't
it-
have to be your property.
You
It
can
be
just
anywhere
drive
you
and see
in
it.
the
Yeah.
city.
Yep.
Just
Oh,
give them the
okay.
location. The guy goes
Multiple
or gal
times?
goes
Yeah.
and looks for
Multiple
it.
You can even
times.
take a picture of the items, and so they know exactly what you see,
Interesting.
and they'll come out and they'll clean it up.
So the
Wow.
other thing with the police is they are afraid to
Get sued.
sometimes book somebody or do too much with a certain situation because they're afraid that they're going to get sued or they're going to get a complaint filed against them. And LAPD has a stack of complaints that are huge right now. And so that's what led me to do my little adventure that I just did to go get certified as a community mediator so that I can go down to the city's attorney's office and mediate some of those complaints between the complainant and the officers.
Nice.
And, go through the certification at Pepperdine and be able to do that.
That's
to,
beautiful.
to be able to do something in the community to make a difference to
Yes.
help some of these situations.
Yeah, I think California, and I'm biased, but I think California is the best state in the country. I really do.
We're so diverse.
We have the best weather. We have the best cultures. We're
It's
diverse.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But,
just
When you talk about all these kind of things and the complaints against police and all this, we're just a state with like no backbone anymore. Like what
None.
happened to just
It's
like
too sensitive.
know,
we have
what happened to
sensitive
right and
people.
wrong?
Everything's
What happened to
right is
and wrong?
right and wrong is wrong, and
That's
we've
it.
Exactly.
blurred those lines to the point of we can't even tell anymore because like when officers won't cite someone and it's not them, it's just because they
It's the
know they're
law
wasting
right
their
now.
time
Right.
and
Yeah,
And
it
that's
comes down to the judicial system. It comes down to the political system. It also comes down to it makes victims less. It takes away any of their rights, and it makes criminals. It actually emboldens them, and it's sad. It's sad because that's what destroys communities and not builds them up. And
Yeah.
and the whole defund the police thing, it had such an effect through our nation, but it also in our state as well. The more police, the safer it is. The more police, again. Now, there's bad apples in everything, and those bad apples need to be held accountable or
Absolutely.
fired.
Right.
But good-hearted officers are something that every community needs.
Exactly.
yes.
And
There's bad
trusting,
doctors, there's bad
yes.
teachers, there's bad lawyers, there's,
Honor,
bad
integrity, and
police.
character.
there's no bad teachers
Yeah.
at this table. That's
Exactly.
That's right. No bad coaches.
on it.
I've always wanted to just be a good human, but I also these kids are all bigger and stronger than me.
Yeah.
They would all beat my butt. But no, really, there's a certain beauty, and I was honored to have a career to give like that and to be a part of it and to be enriched by those experiences. Those kids often will stop me because I still shop at Vaughn's, but like I saw a dude like a month ago, he's walking out with like some meat and a couple bottles. No, he didn't have any bottles. He's walking out with like meat. And I go, hey, what's up? And he looked at me because he looked familiar. I've been around a million years. He looks at me and he's like, he just headed straight out the door. And it's like, it happens a lot that they can't stop him. And I don't blame the workers. I'm not going to go get,
But you're like, I know who that was.
yeah,
your
I'm not
minimum
gonna
wage job
endanger-
is not worth your life.
I'm not getting endangered over like a $45 worth of meat,
Yeah.
or maybe $65, $105 worth of meat. It's not my, it's
No,
it's
But
not
the
my-
thing is,
It's
Coach, if you
capped.
stop them, you could go to jail for it too. So 'cause-
Yes.
and it's not necessarily be your life. That might be a safe situation, but they show up and then all of a sudden, look
You
at
touched
security
them
guards in
incorrectly or-
commercial areas, and they're told not to touch people. They're not. They just let them
Right.
steal, and it's like that just makes
It's
everything
crazy.
go up.
I
I have
saw
a security
kids.
guard.
Yeah.
I mean,
I saw kids one day when I was in Rouse that I knew who they were, but I didn't say anything because it's not my job. It's not my place. I am not the security for a Rouse. They had a security guard sitting right there that watched them walk right out. And they had steaks and they had booze on the other hand. And I knew they were minors and they're going out with their skateboards out the door.
Unbelievable.
Know their parents. Pedro.
I know, right?
It's Pedro. It's a small. It's a small
Actually,
town in
what's
LA.
funny? That actually brings something up to my mind. I had an application for a kid once, and the kid called and wanted a job, and I interviewed the kid, and one of my staff knew the kid and knew the kid's parents. And I kind of lagged on. I was just like, let me wait this out. I don't know if we have room on the schedule yet, but we were probably going to hire this kid. About 3 days later, the kid's pictures on Facebook stealing stuff from Ralph's. And I said, well, that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because now I am an employ this person, and this person's gone viral in San Pedro.
Nope.
So it's like, what do
you
I do at that point? You
at
know,
that
I
point?
can't
Well,
hire.
you
this
can't
kid.
trust that person.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And that's the second wave of it. You know, now I can't hire them, and I can't trust them.
Yeah,
So-
because they might steal from you.
Sure.
And that's not what you want from your employees. You want
Right.
them to be honest, have some integrity, and have the character to be straightforward with customers. They're representing you.
Absolutely.
Coach
in your
Costa,
business.
what do you think about this? Because you see these children, you see them grow into adults.
I gotta tell you, like I only know with young males, because like best quick story.
Mhm.
It's spring football class. Weather's getting warm. A couple guys might take their shirts off, or they're wearing like a tank top, and you'll see like the 9th, 10th grade girls that have PE, like drill team or something. They'll stop and they're like looking at these young fine guys, and I always tell them like, hey. Their frontal cortex isn't going to be like wired in for another 10, 15 years. And they've got testosterone on the brain. It's like throwing gas on a dumpster fire. So like, they're all like
Ryan's like,
drooling
yeah.
and like, but these guys, they're going to be okay. It's going to take some time, some love, care, and understanding, and some mentoring. But we've got a lot of brokenness in the community. So even still, when we're working there, I'm kind of all the kids. I still kind of do the same thing because you don't know what journey another kid has. At least they came to this large institution to hang out for the day. I always thought while I was working all these years in my community, and I spent my last 7 years at a continuation school, Angels Gate, some of those kids, I never met them before. I never seen them before. They
Wow.
were already, headed in a situation where maybe continuation is a great opportunity for a lot of young ones, but I never saw them because they had issues before. So it is tough. You guys have hit on a lot of great topics around this table about it being, we've got this divide, and I think it's going to start one by one of us being inclusive, us
Right.
trying to work with people, showing some kindness. I remember you guys do some stuff with the skateboarders.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys, hey,
Yeah.
So
those skateboarders got their own look and feel, but they're deep down, they're just kids and they're having fun. But you'd give them like, you had something you're cooking. There's either a free glass of soda, a glass of water.
The skateboarders are the reason we started doing pizza by the slice.
100.
Because skateboarders are not going to come in and buy a whole pizza.
Well, and that skate park that they put in was rad. What was that, about 10, 15 years
Yeah.
ago?
And
That
it's
skate
under-
park is
unlimited.
unlimited. Yeah, that's
It's
awesome.
well
But they would
known.
come in and be like, "Can I get one slice?" And it's like,
Mm.
well, I guess we should start selling slices if these kids
Yeah.
are going to be
If it
back here every
works,
day.
yeah.
to Joe
Yes.
Boscano's credit, he really helped them along to get that where they were able to get that as a park and get it
A
where they
permitted legal
Yes.
permitted
park. Yeah.
legal park,
Yeah.
and they got the insurance and everything that they needed to reopen that.
They have
And
official
our
nonprofit
our
status.
our
Yeah.
neighborhood council's able to help give them money as a nonprofit, and we're able to help them to get some of those murals up there and stuff. So
That's
it
awesome.
just
But that's one segment, the
Yeah.
skateboarders.
Yeah.
We need so many more varieties. Like
Yeah.
I was a referee and umpire setter for 12 years. There's a lot of kids. Like Mr. McCosker did something at the 1-5 at Rancho Park, and they brought up to me like these
the
kids,
football thing.
they did the football training, and a lot of these kids have got one good pair of shoes, and they're really nice shoes. They started school and the grass was wet. They were taking off their shoes
Mm.
and just going. I go, man. My wife goes like, let us know next time. We'll get these guys some cleats, whatever they want to do to play. So that's in play. Love to help with
Yeah.
do that. But there's so many kids, so many groups. There's plenty to help with and do. I'm an old guy. I'm planting seeds for trees that people are going to enjoy the shade of, way after I'm gone. And I think we need to have some of that perspective. Sometimes we're so transactional, like I did this, I should get this. I did this, everything should go smooth. It's not. And I got a feeling that humans have been this dysfunctional way before I got here. They're definitely dysfunctional now. And I got a feeling it's going to be dysfunctional way after me. But if we can just, I got to tell you, it feels good to give.
One person makes a difference.
You can't.
Absolutely.
One person at a
Definitely.
time.
And
That-
especially with the young kids, it's
With the kids.
huge.
Yes.
As if they're in sports is something that if you give a young kid, and if he comes from a broken home, whatever situation may be, 20 people living in a 2-bedroom house, whatever that may be, and they get involved in a sport and something that is a community in and of itself, that sport and those bonds that they have keep them out of trouble. They have something to look
And they
forward
come
to.
and tell me. They come and tell me, I've been around
so
here so long.
beautiful.
Hey, thank you. I go, you said something to me. I'm like, what did I say? I hope it was, I was trying to, no, you said one day that if I did X, Y, Z or like, and I'm going, okay, that was a good day. I had enough, and I try to make all those days
Yeah.
to be good days that you said something positive. You gave somebody a nugget because it means something. So
You-
Yeah.
everybody can be.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head on what exactly what my passion is with nonprofits is you have to give kids some kind of outreach and some kind of outlet.
Yeah.
Because if you're not getting them involved in something, it can be sports, it can be Boys and Girls Club,
Mhm.
it can
What a
be
thing.
I'm on the board for youth theater.
Mhm.
You know, whatever
Ooh.
it is,
Yeah.
it keeps them off the streets
Correct.
because the streets are going to find them if they don't have a distraction. And I say, give kids a
Exactly.
distraction.
Yes.
Sports is a great distraction. But the
Yes.
Boys and Girls Clubs around us in the harbor do wonders.
We're special in
students in our
all of
community.
LA for that group. I guess just a quickie. I can hear my son, Daddy, talk too much. There's that
No,
old
no,
story, some weird tidal situation. Maybe it's India and the starfish are all laying out there.
Uh-huh.
And like this guy's walking, and every now and then he throws one back in, and his buddy says, like, dude, these guys are all gonna die. He goes, that one's not.
Mhm.
And that's the huge thing that John hit on.
Yeah.
It just takes one. I've been
One.
blessed to work with we dressed out we got approved for like 150 kids to play football. It's competitive. It's not must play. A lot of kids don't play, but they're part of a group, and you see these guys enjoy. That's 150. Each one of us can grab that one starfish, throw it back in the water, and maybe it's going to save a life. Like my wife's Maria's Closet, that girl. These girls are coming in from all over LA now that have an issue to be
wow.
able to get some of this gear.
That's so
And they
beautiful.
get to have a
Great.
night, or we got them a set of cleats.
Right.
I get to be a little fast because in doing that football reffing, we'd go downtown, other parts of the 1-5, the Watts areas, rec parks would come down there. And these kids got taped up shoes with cardboard on the sides of them. And there could be in the next future Heisman Trophy winner. These little
Yeah.
10, 11-year-olds got that much juice, but they're running on nothing,
Yeah.
I
I was
wanna
in
do
Watts
that with your
recently and
wife this next go
yeah,
around.
she does great work.
I want to do that. I wasn't able to this last time to sign up, but I want to do it the next go
Find
around.
Maria's
Yeah.
Closet.
I was in Watts recently for one of the councilman's events. I wanted to go out and support another community in our district. I feel like, our district kind of bands
Very
together,
cool.
right? So I got to, I knew where the place was I was going, and I purposely drove past it. I wanted to circle around a little bit. And I was really heartbroken at what I saw. I mean, these kids grow up in an area where there's no means for them. They don't really have a fair shot at stuff. It's filthy, it's dirty. It's run down, and it's good that we have a council member right now who at least cares, and he's trying to uplift a community that just
Yeah.
you could tell has been overlooked for years.
And I started my career at Washington Prep on 108th and Normandy, and it's close to that area, but it's on the west side of the Harbor Freeway.
Mhm.
But still a lot of rough areas there compared to San Pedro's got its own rough, but it's a bigger scale in other parts of LA. Those kids would share stories. They had to go to malls outside it because there's no shopping mall to get that entry-level job near where they live. They had to take bus, walk, rides to get to these other communities. So that's why I've been a proponent of, hey, I don't care what you name it, West Harbor, Left Out Harbor, whatever you want to call it.
Left out.
We've got a place where these kids can get a start
Yeah.
and they don't have to walk too far and try.
Agree.
And people don't really get that because we get a little myopic. We live down where we do, and I get it. You want the best services where you live. but there's others that don't have it, and I'm glad you saw it there.
Yeah. And I mean, I see it more than just there. I'm downtown a lot. Go to the Clipper games, Kings games, Staples Center, right? Or whatever it's called now, the crypto.
Crypto.
And you sometimes when you're just parking and you go, oh my God, these streets are awful.
They are
Just
horrible.
awful. And it makes me think, man, Pedro people, we complain, but damn, we have it pretty good compared to the rest of the city. But we seem to elect people who care about us locally. And it's like, what's happening in these other parts of the city? Do they not care?
Well, I seen there was a video that was showing Skid Row, and they're like, it's not Skid Row no more, it's Skid City.
Yeah.
But it's that bad.
It is. It's really bad.
It is horribly bad. And but at what point is enough enough? Like, what avenues do we have?
Well, they need mental health. They need to have not just a mental health. They need to have hospitals that can treat, and they need to get them off the drugs. They need to get the drugs out of the cities. They need to take
Right.
that. And as
That's
far back as
true.
you can
That's
go,
true. But
But
what happens
they
is a lot of
self-medicate.
times when they get the 72-hour holds or they get some sort of treatment, then they go back to where they
Yes.
were, back on the street. And the thing is, a lot of these people that are mentally ill, that are on medicated, they stop taking the medications because the drugs that they give them don't make them feel as good as the
one-
drugs on the street.
And the ones on the streets are so easy to get. I mean, like, God, they're going into Target, they're going through all of the Benadryls and, cooking that up. And that's how easy it
Yeah.
is. Like, it's ridiculous that's how easy it is.
Well, they
As-
self-medicate, and when they don't get what they need, and if there's something better out there, they're gonna tend to follow
like
that,
the
and
bath salts.
that puts them in a different state of mind, also, where it's not safe for them, it's not safe for the community, and they really are a danger to themselves and everybody else at that point. We've all seen it in just about every city that I've been in, locally in California, where driving down the road and someone's throwing a trash can at cars or rocks, and you're like,
That's so
and talking to
scary.
themselves, and it's heartbreaking, it's heart wrenching, but there needs to be the state dumps enough money at it. We should be having solutions. We shouldn't be having more problems, and
Right.
the problems are getting worse instead of better.
Look at the lotto. It started off with funding to the schools, right? Realistically, where is all this money going? Where?
Well, and that's the thing. We never hear about it.
Never.
Like,
Out of sight,
It
out
should
of
be
mind.
documented, broadcast more often. Like, here's
Totally.
where this money
See,
went.
but there's
Exactly.
always
Every penny.
there's always underwriters in a lot of this funding, and if you look really close to the bills that they do for these funding things,
Mhm.
a lot of them have like these little underwriters that say that, okay, we funded it for new trash cans all in the city,
Yeah.
but we did part of
Wait,
them,
the
but
trash cans that
we're-
we pay
you know,
taxes for?
we did it, but we're going to stop the program at like halfway done, and we're going to reverse course, and we need money over here on this project. And there's some out where they can pull that money out of that project and move it over to something else.
And they pass a bill, and it's 300 pages or 500 or 5,000 pages long instead of one page front and
Yeah.
back. That's all you get, and there's
Simple.
no loopholes. Keep it
Simple.
simple, stupid.
Yeah.
That's the way I
No
look
What
at
worries
it.
and
me,
force.
what worries me about the topic of homelessness and where we're at and how bad it is. There's 30,000 ish homeless in Los Angeles. That isn't as much as it's worrisome. What worries me is how many people live check to check right now that are very close to it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that population could legit double within 6
Double
months
Totally.
if
especially
things
with
were to
rent
go
control.
really south. Yeah.
The rent control and all the rent, stuff that they did for COVID to keep people from being evicted and all that. They extended that, but how many times are they going to extend those protections before it goes sideways?
Right.
And then you're going to have all these people that are all of a sudden.
You can evict now, and the first rental increase in 4 years will be February 1st, 2024.
Right.
What
But I mean, you
percentage?
talk about the number.
Are they enforcing evictions
6
now?
Currently, it will be 7%, but they have had no raises for 4 years. And just cause, I believe, evictions are available now, like
Yeah.
for non-payment of rent, or they're a nuisance.
What
to
about the
themselves.
back pay during COVID that people didn't pay? Is there
I don't know enough. The people that I've helped have been very fortunate that their tenants paid throughout the pandemic, but there's other landlords I've met in the stuff that I do have had the occasional person who did not pay and they were able to pay. And it depended on the landlord to pursue that program to get paid back by the state. I
Right.
believe it was a state program. I don't know
I
enough
think you had
to
to sign up.
comment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sign up.
Yeah, I just think about the check to check thing. People live
Yeah.
check to
Yeah.
check. I have 40 employees at the pizza shop, and I
Oh.
could make the case that 25 of them live check to check. I mean, it's payday. They're on me. What time are we getting
Oh
paid?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm on my way.
Well,
Yeah. You're
72%.
blushing. Look
Yeah.
at you.
72% of Americans don't even have a grand put away in case something happens. It's just a G.
Yeah.
And you're like, so you start looking at what we pay per hour. And, I often think we've got to, I'll go to another thing. We need to teach more about financing, entrepreneurship,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
side
But-
husles with
But in
kids.
That should be automatic in
That
school.
was in school. What
Well,
happened to all the trade schools?
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, no Child Left Behind kind of changed that, and they dismantled that, and now they're heading more toward that career.
Because not
technical
everybody
training.
goes to school or
No.
college.
And we had
Exactly.
kids who should
They
be
need skills,
hands-on, and you're going
hands-on.
to stick them in algebra 2. I get it, but like that No Child Left Behind really made it's almost kind of a sad, ironic thing because you're making some people feel left behind.
Mhm.
And I know people in my own long life that never set foot on a college campus, and they are major producers of jobs. And the only time they set foot on a campus was they got the government contract to pour concrete that was multi-millions
Yeah.
for 6 campuses, and they got like X amount of people working for him. This guy, he hired out, what's that old saying? Like the C students end up hiring the A and B students to help run their company. But we kind of lost something there, and we need to have a little more hands-on for those kind of people
I
and
agree.
do it a little different. Because one thing I saw on my football team, we ended last night, but when we do, we have a little get-together where the seniors talk, and there's a lot of tears shed and hugs and love. But we got a variety of humans just in our 60-person team, a variety of humanities of young guys. Some may be on the spectrum. Some are far on it. Some are less on it. They're all beautiful dudes. They all have something to give to a group. But we need, I get to see that and be part of it, encourage it and love them up. But some people are isolated out there. And that creates a lot of things in our society that's kind of going south with people suffering traumas and then self-medicating, or they might need that type of help because they came out of the jump with a problem.
Well, and COVID fast forwarded
Right.
all those issues
They did.
straight up because then there was isolation for everything and
Everything.
Oh, yeah.
everyone.
And everyone.
Not
and
good.
the suicide rate in kids
Oh,
it
was
went through the roof.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the worst thing you can do to anybody is isolate them to a point. Now, I kind of like being alone a lot. Like I'll go up a mountain and I could stay up there for months and be happy as can be. But I like the wilderness, so I'm a little bit odd cat in that. But for most people, you take away that social interaction, you take away those things, it breaks them on a level mentally that eventually hurts them physically. And like you said, these outreaches in our communities, these whether it be Boys and Girls Club, whether it be football, whether it be sports, whether it be anything, drama, whatever. It gives them more purpose. And the trade schools is another wonderful thing that we had that, I mean, you can
my
go straight
sister
into
is a
being a
product
plumber
of
and
trade
making a good
school.
living. You can be an electrician and make a good living. You don't have to go to college. Some kids have ADHD and they can't focus in school, or they're
Exactly.
dyslexic and
Yep.
they can't
Yep.
read properly because their mind doesn't process properly. And if they
Not
don't
as
get the
fast.
help, then they're not going to succeed. But then all of a sudden you get them and they learn how to do a business and they learn to wrap their head around it. And then all of a sudden those guys hit the ground running so hard because they're like, they had to fight to get where they're at in that. And then they hire the A and B students to run their
did
stuff.
the nursing program for Nurses Aid through Pedro High.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And so she's a nurse's aide. And she continued to do that for a long time until she was older. And then she went on to other adventures. She's a manager of like a Ralph's store now.
And I got to throw out too that, people are worried, and I get it. AI, artificial intelligence is an issue, but like the things you guys just mentioned, there's things that AI is not going to replace. There's going to be a need for handy people to come and fix and do and
Mhm.
repair and install the systems. write the software,
Nurses.
plug it all in. So I think you need to be on the forefront. And I tell kids all the time, if I would have had this thing, I would have graduated from high school a year sooner, would have made tons more money. I had to buy an ad for $25 and stick it in a thing called a newspaper and hope somebody called. And now I hear people complain about different social medias. I'm being shadow banned. They don't put, no one's watching my stuff. Hey, listen, it's free.
Yeah.
It's free. Go find that sofa on some free site. Drag it. Don't buy a whip. Get yourself an old truck. Stick that in your carport. Flip that thing. You know, you got it first. You drove around on, and that's what's clean. It's gray. It's brown. Sell that thing. Take pictures. You got it right here on the phone. List that thing, kid. And that's where I've met these kids. They've taught me about Supreme clothing. The kids have taught me about eBay. The kids have taught me about buying crypto early. The intelligence is there.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
it needs to be encouraged and fertilized. And I said
So-
fertilized.
So I-
Fertilized.
Encouragement is
Huge.
one of the biggest things you can give any young person, and not just from their parents. They need that from at home. But if their home's not as pleasant as some other homes, there's always that disconnect. So when they get it from an adult who they respect, or someone that invests in that,
Right.
and that's the same individual that is at a point in their life is going to give back to the
Right.
same community, and they're going to give and say, "Hey, wait, that changed my life, and I want it."
They tell me that because I'll hit them up like, well, dude, listen, you start that company you're talking about. I'm going to hit you up, coach. We're going to get a turf field. I'm going to pay for a set of uniforms. Dude, you just come back. I don't care if you write a check for $100, but come on back. But I like how you're thinking. And because that's what makes it better. That's
Correct.
what makes it better in any small part.
Yes. Well, I just want to thank you guys. Unfortunately, our hour is up. How fast did that go,
It was
right?
Good conversation.
This was
It was
great.
great.
I love it.
Thank you,
I
everybody.
would like to leave off with this little saying because Tuna usually does our little quotes at the end of our sessions. But so there is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. And I think this was beautiful. I really do appreciate you guys coming here. And maybe, we could set up another one and get back to part 2 because this
Yeah.
is very interesting.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's great.
It's just amazing how it all ties together.
It's
It
beautiful,
does.
isn't it? It all ties together. And thank you guys all so much. I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. We have a lot of great, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm losing track here. The
Old guys with shaved heads,
no.
with tattoos.
What we get, your wife does the
Oh yes, nonprofits.
the
and we got
nonprofit,
John
yes,
is on
and John,
ours, and
yes,
he's
sorry.
on a bunch. He's a
Yes.
giver. Everyone here's
Yes,
giver.
Melanie. So if you guys need to reach out to any of them, let us know. We're all here to help out the community, not just one, but all. Thank you guys all so much, you guys, and sorry for the fart brain. That's all for today. Thank you for watching and listening. It truly means the world to me. If you enjoy the show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe at Let Loose with Lou on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify.